Edit, your favorite show, where we talk issues of governance. In the studio tonight, we have Mr. Joseph Kunda, and that's the CEO of Movement for Promoting National Values and Principles. Mr. Kunda, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we'll be doing the country a disservice if we kick off the show without talking about the demise of the late former President, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. Just briefly, what memories of him do you have? How do you remember him? What did he mean to you?
I have fond memories about him. He is a gallant leader who stood for the sovereignty of our nation, and he put Zambia on the world map. He fought very hard in ensuring that Zambia attained the independence that we are enjoying right now. He sacrificed everything, including his desire to see everyone free, to the extent that he decided not even to be taking meat. Not that he never wanted, yeah, but he felt bad seeing the blood being shed, and then the Zambians being exposed to a situation where they could buy food and essential commodities on a small window. So he made a resolve that that being the case, he would never himself eat meat. Instead, he made a resolve to remain a vegetarian. And then the other aspect where I remember President Kaunda very much is that he promoted national values. Among the scriptures that he loved most was the book of Matthew 22, verse 37 to 39. Love God with your whole heart, with your whole soul, with your whole mind, and with your whole strength. This scripture never skipped his mind. In all his speeches, the scripture came out splendidly, and it blended much of what he talked about. So he promoted love. Not only did he make pronouncements, but he lived by what he preached. The other scripture that he loved most was Matthew 7, verse 12. Do unto others.
You want them to do
exactly. So he loved those scriptures. Now I remember him fondly because I'm a champion of national values, and he promoted those values. So I really miss him for that.
And unfortunately, just a few days later, on the 20th of June, we lost her lordship, Mrs. Irene Mambilima.
Exactly.
What does that mean now to the judicial system?
We have a vacuum already in a very important office, the office of the Chief Justice. Of course, Justice Irene Mambilima was really best suited for that position, having been attended to the bar in 1977. She carried massive experience. She was a gallant woman. I've always mentioned and described her not to have been a feminine lady, but a lady who had some masculinity in promoting fairness, justice, equity, social justice, non-discrimination, even the dignity of the legal fraternity. So it's quite sad. And the other thing is that, well, people say it was pafwa bantu, pashala bantu, but I don't believe so. Justice Mambilima was on her own. She had unique qualities. She's irreplaceable, and I don't think she's dispensable. Yeah, she is indispensable. However, having said that, we still have options. I'm sure His Excellency, the President, would consider making an appointment of someone who should wait for parliamentary ratification, because that position needs to be ratified and confirmed by Parliament. Now, the fact that we do not have Parliament at the moment, so we have to wait, but somebody has to be in the position to deputize, to sit in. We have Justice Michael Msonda, the Deputy Chief Justice, who attended the authority and was admitted to the bar long in 1987. He has also massive experience. We have the other Supreme Court judges like Justice Mumba Malila. We also have Justice Wood, Justice Roida Sakulia, and many others. So I'm sure we still have a reservoir of other credible legal practitioners with massive experience who might take up the mantle.
All right, may the souls of all our departed ones rest in peace. On that note, we shall go for a short break and more when we come back.
Zambia has embarked on an economic journey for individual financial emancipation, empowering its citizens through land acquisition and developing the nation through agriculture. This time, Zambians are coming together, taking it upon themselves with the help of government to develop this great nation by taking individual responsibility and ownership of this great nation. The economic revolution has started. There are thousands of Zambians with a can-do mindset who are resolute, unstoppable, full of confidence and conviction that Zambia's set time of favor for development is now. Don't be left out. This could be the time you have been waiting for. Camnet Television, in conjunction with the United Agrivision Consultancy Limited, will be hosting a national conference on becoming a millionaire through agriculture. Date 1st October and 2nd October 2021. Charges 750 kwacha per person per day, that includes lunch. A limited number of participants through Zoom have also been reserved. You can also be part of the conference from the comfort of your home by registering online via Zoom, joining the people who were born for greatness. Charges for participation via Zoom are only 300 kwacha per person. Time 0730 hours to 17 hours. Registration and confirmation of attendance will take place on the 29th of September 2021. Time 14 hours to 17 hours. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International, the home of Camnet Television in Apex Hill, Kabulonga Road, Lusaka.
Welcome back. In case you have just joined us, we are discussing governance amidst political violence, COVID, and social and economic challenges. We have in our studios this evening Mr. Joseph Kunda, who is the CEO of the Movement for Promoting National Values and Principles. Welcome again.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Kunda, what is the mandate of your organization to start with?
MPNVP, or Movement for Promoting National Values and Principles, is not only there to promote national values and principles. Maybe just briefly, let me mention our national values, Dahlia. We have equity, and then we also have non-discrimination, social justice, ethics, patriotism, good governance, democracy, national unity, integrity, dignity, and constitutionalism. In total, they should be about 12. Now, those are our core values, and then they make up the network or the moral fiber of our nation. They are more or less like a compass of our nation. Now, our organization was founded on the principle of promoting these national values. Now, it's not a question of simply making pronouncements or listing them as I have done, but we are there to ensure that we actualize the national values. National values must be actualized. National values must be implemented. So that they do not remain mere rhetorics or pronouncements, but actual values that should be converted or translated into actions, so that people are able to see that these are the national values. Among the mandate or the objectives of our organization, Dahlia, include the responsibility.
Sorry, I was about to ask actually the vision of your organization. What's the vision of your
I was about to come to that. We are to educate the citizenry about the national values and principles, build local capacity for less privileged and marginalized in society, to help men and women receive fair justice. We offer judicial aid to the accused by ensuring they have fair trial and treatment before and after verdict. We provide health care, social, environment, and economic protection for the incarcerated. Our organization has another responsibility of protecting the office of the presidency, the highest office in our land. And we also fight cybercrime and character assassination. So we fight social media. Now, with regard to the other question that you have posed, the vision that we have as an organization is to see a united society, a country that is anchored on national values and principles. We also have the objective of regaining the integrity of our nation and restoring a sustainable society so that we can have a government or a country that is governable.
Okay, so if I may ask, how do you intend to achieve your vision?
Well, we are embarking on various means and methods in our endeavor to actualize the national values. Among some of those methods that we are embarking on include what we are already doing just here, Dahlia. We are involved in a countrywide campaign by disseminating national values, conducting lessons, and then preaching national values on using different media houses. That could be television, as we are doing it right now, and then radio stations, newspapers. We also have a media team that is made up from our organization that is responsible in disseminating information on a daily basis. Our organization do the write-up that we are soon putting together, and we are coming up with some tracts and then magazines, brochures about national values. Now, these are small pamphlets. The problem is that we have many of our citizens who do not want to read. Our reading culture is very poor in Zambia. So if we publish a bulk document, it would be very difficult for our citizens to read. So we would want to convert some of our write-ups and the education that we provide on national values into simple documents like tracts, so that people are able to understand. For example, if I went to the street and then tell someone, I gather a number of young girls and boys, and I tell them what is incest. Very few would, what is arson? How can you explain that? It would be very difficult for them to. But if we have small tracts or pamphlets explaining a certain component of our constitution in very simple terms, and then we distribute them. Why do we discourage early marriages? What is defilement? And many other situations. So we convert them into documents, and then we distribute. So we are in the process of doing that. And at the same time, our organization has partnered with 17 government ministries. Now, what I mean is this. For example, let me just give a simple example. We have partnered with Ministry of Home Affairs in promoting social justice, equity, non-discrimination, dignity for those who are incarcerated, to ensure that those who are incarcerated in all police cells across the country, we should have a flushable toilet and a bathing room, bathing apartment, a decent bathing apartment, where everyone who is in incarceration, they should be able to answer their call of nature. So we need to put up boreholes in all police stations across the country. But we can't do that without authority and permission of Ministry of Home Affairs.
Exactly.
So we have partnered with about 17 government ministries. We have partnered with Ministry of Information, and we are a partner to that ministry in ensuring that all media houses, including Camnet, should operate on ethical principle. They must be ethical in their dissemination of information. So we are actually your partner as well. So we also have other institutions like Human Rights Commission. We are also partners with that institution in promoting human rights, ECZ, and many other numerous institutions like Anti-Corruption Commission,
Thank
Drug
you for
Enforcement
that.
Commission
So
as well.
some civil organizations tend to align themselves with the ruling party, and some actually sympathize with the opposition. Who are your funders, if I may ask?
You are very right. The funders include yourself, myself. We are part of the funders. We have the donor community as well, and then the central government. And then we have the international community, the business houses within. Everyone who will appreciate what we'll be doing. In fact, I would say everyone who appreciates what we are doing is our funder. And in answering your other question, it's very true, Dahlia, that many civil society organizations are compromised, such that whenever you hear them speaking, you would even remember a certain political party, that they are affiliated to this political party. I'm not bragging, neither am I boasting, to say MPNVP is not aligned to any political party. Not even the party in government is aligned to MPNVP. We are very, very neutral. And we have put up a policy within our constitution of the organization. It's enshrined that any senior member who intend to take an active role in politics should resign. And so far, about 4 of our directors from the 10 expressed interest to resign because they realized they were not measuring up to the requirement. They took sides. It's either they were sympathizers with the opposition or the ruling party. So we are actually very neutral.
All right, and how do you engage communities, and what structures do you have in place?
The 10 provinces of our country are divided into 3 regions. We have the northern region, which is made up of northern province, Luapula, Muchinga, and eastern province. So it's got a regional commissioner who is responsible for these. He's based in Lusaka at the headquarters. And then we also have western region, which is made up of southern province, western province, central province, and northwestern province. Then we have Midlands region, which is made up of Lusaka and Copperbelt, and it's also managed by a regional commissioner. We are calling them regional commissioner. Then in all the 10 provinces, we have 10 provincial coordinators, and each and every district is being run or will be run by a district facilitator. And at each district, there is now the inspectors, the public health inspectors, the councillors, and all those who will now be responsible of accessing communities and also going to various schools, police stations, to look at the welfare of all those who are in detention at police stations. And also we have some of the inspectors who should be accessing all correctional facilities in ensuring that the well-being of the convicts are taken into consideration and the proper care, and they are attended to. So this is how we have organized, including villages and all setups, communities. Our members, we also have volunteers, those who are ready to volunteer to work with us. We would also incorporate them, and the process has already started. So I would confidently put it before you, Dahlia, that we are there across the country. Our organization has actually penetrated.
Thank you for that. How would you define governance?
Governance is a very, very big thing. Interestingly, the government is part of governance. Governance can consume the government. The government is part of the governance system. I would define it that way. Why I've said that? Because we would describe the government to have three components that include economics, administration, and then we also have politics. So these are three major components making up the government. When I say administration, I mean administration include the judiciary and then legislature and the executive. They are part of the government. Then politics, we mean the political party that forms the government of the day, and all opposition political parties are part of the politics of a particular nation. And then we also have the economic aspect. Yeah. That goes now into manufacturing industries, entrepreneurship, and all adventures that a country might embark on that would make the country productive and in the end be able to sustain the economy and ensure that the currency is kept at the rate it is supposed to be to afford a reasonable life to the citizens. Now, when we say governance, we include these three components that makes up the government, but now we are going to include just two: business and the civil society. So when I say business, the business sector would include the banking sector or the banks, or profit-making institutions, companies that are profit-making. Including vendors, marketeers, proprietors of shops, those who are involved in cross-border business, in selling of products from other countries, and then they are bringing them within the country. Farmers are coming also into place. They are part of the business themselves. So the business aspect is quite wide also, and it could be explained and defined in such a way that it might involve all of us. And then we have the civil society, which is part of the governance. Civil society includes all non-profit making organizations where MPNVP is also falling. And among the civil society organizations include religious organizations as well, because they are non-profit making organizations. So all these are part of the governance system. No wonder when you see a leader who is embracive of all the civil society organizations, the religious organizations, he embraces everyone. That person must be a good leader, because in the governance system, all these components must find space, must be accommodated, must be embraced, and they must be secured as well. So I think those are the words and the terms I can use, Dahlia, to explain governance, what is meant by the term governance.
Thank you for that. Would you say Zambia is politically stable? That's against the backdrop, the political violence that we've seen in the recent past?
I would say so. Confidently, I can assure you that Zambia is a stable country. Why I would say that? We have had no instability since 1964. What is political instability? Political instability is an environment where no one can freely conduct business, where no citizen can have peace to live in his own home. We have to be on the run, all of us, where there is political instability. When there is political instability, citizens are seen running up and down. Even abandoning your own beautiful home, you leave it, running for your own life, for your own safety. That is instability. I don't think we have reached that level. We haven't. Yes, we have had claims where others feel that as a country we are not politically stable because of a few pockets of resistance and indifferences, and then some violence and some terrible remarks that result in tension in our country. But that might not be referred to qualify us to a country that is unstable. Now, for me to candidly emphasize that point, Zambia is rated in Africa among the best 5. It's among the most peaceful countries in Africa. Zambia is listed. I mean, this very time when we are commemorating and at the same time mourning the late President Kaunda, we have heard sentiments anyway, Dahlia, from others in the neighboring countries who are eulogizing our nation. They are praising us. You know, it's just a day or two ago, I heard President Thabo Mbeki, the former South African president, who said Zambia looked after us for 30 years. 30 years, South Africans were looked after. All those who were fighting for independence in South Africa, they found security, peace and tranquility in Zambia. They found refuge in Zambia. So it's a peaceful country. And at the same time, if we are to confirm if our country is really stable, we should ask the refugees. They will give us the answer. Or go to town, look for Rwandese. They will tell you if it's stable or not. All right, because they've run away from their country and they are very much at peace here. You can also confirm if we are a stable country, not from me, but you can ask missionaries who are serving in Zambia. They could be Catholic missionaries, Jehovah's Witnesses missionaries, or missionaries from anywhere. They will tell you, of all the countries they've been, they will qualify Zambia. Maybe they will rate it #1. So it's a very, very stable country. Others who do rate our country, apart from missionaries and then the refugees, it's the investors. So go and find out from the Chinese. They will answer you. The Indians will tell you. That's why if somebody's permit, work permit or business permit is revoked in Zambia, they cry.
All right, so there has been instances where policies have been changed frequently. For example, the ban on maize exportation and the ban of cooking oil importation. Doesn't that sort of create panic, or maybe, for lack of a better term, I would say, wouldn't that create confusion in the minds of the citizens?
Not really, Dahlia. Those are methodologies that are done administratively by those who have the authority to run the economy of our nation, who are responsible to... This is a very normal thing. The way a country is run, Daria, it's very similar to the way our parents look after us in our homes, where we are coming from. I'm a son who was born from a father who was a miner. My dad was working in the mines. He was under ZCCM for 33 years. And I grew up from the copper belt. Now, what used to happen those days when we were very young, Dad used to get paid twice in a month. At the month end and on the 15th, mid-month, they would get a salary, and then at the month end. And now, Mom had the responsibility to do the budgeting at home and how to spend the money. When Dad gets paid, I always witnessed him giving money to Mom. Now, Mom was the manager at home to manage affairs. So we would observe sometimes, Mom would tell us, all of you careful, we want to reach the month end. What we have is too little, so I'll be away with your dad. Just prepare beans only and vegetables for the next 2-3 days. You know, no meat, no chicken or whatever. Would you complain, Dahlia, that parents are becoming dictators, or they are turning a home in a dictatorial community? Not so. We can't say so. So similarly, just as parents are able to foresee a situation, those in the government and in oversight, in fact, policymakers are able to foresee. And this is not done by politicians. It's the duty of the permanent secretaries, the directors, and others who are responsible of the situation, would look at our reserve. They would check how much tonnage of maize are we having in our country. Then they look at the population, they look at the needs. No, let's put a ban as at now. You know, recently the president complained, His Excellency Dr. Edgar Chagwalungu said in Luapula, the waters in Luapula have run out of fish. And he challenged Ministry of Fish and Livestock to ensure that they revamp the fishing industry. So the lakes and the water bodies that we have must be restocked. So there is need to start looking for some more fish. So that now, why is this so? Because people do not want to obey the fishing ban. When there is a fishing ban put in place, people still disobey. They still use the mosquito nets, and they keep on catching fish. Hence, we are running out of fish. So we need such control measures by the government to be put in place. It's for our well-being. They are able to foresee a situation. So we wouldn't reduce such measures to mean they are imposed and therefore a disadvantage. No, Dahlia, they mean well and therefore good.
All right, so what then do you think causes political violence? If the government is doing everything right, like you've rightly put it, their decisions and their policies, whether it's changing frequently or not, it's for the good of the country.
Exactly.
So what then do you think is causing this political violence that we're going through now?
There could be a number of reasons causing these pockets of violence. Mind you, even when we say violence, do not sound, you and I should not sound so general. Let's not generalize, you know. Yes.
Already, we can leave it at political violence.
Exactly.
What is causing this political violence?
Yes. But, you know, if we are not careful again, we could be blowing a wave out of a cup. A storm out of a cup. I don't know if you might get the context of
so I understand why I'm asking is clearly the ECZ has banned certain political parties. But actually here, the PF and UPND
yes.
can't be hosted. It's because of the same political violence.
Exactly.
And a lot of other things that are happening because there's too much political violence. So my question was to you, what do you think is causing this political violence that we're seeing right now? The whole country is seeing it. ECZ has had to put measures to stop it. So yes, it is there. I just wanted to hear your view. What do you think is causing it? Not to politicize anything. I
hear you, Dahlia. I hear you. Before I give you these reasons, I have them anyway. But I just wanted to mention to you that to some extent, this again is being, you know, pronounced extremely more than it is. For example, of all the districts in Zambia, which are so many, we have so many districts in our country, political violence was only experienced in 4 areas. And they were specified in Mpulungu, we were told in Namwala, we were told Lusaka, Nakonde. And those are places which ECZ had to put measures to come up with control measures so that they inhibit escalation of violence. And they've put a period. They've said this would only go up to 14 days. In fact, we are only remaining with less than 10 days. They will be reviewing this to see if, again, campaigns could be opened up, full throttle, for the 2 political parties. Yeah. But what could be causing this? Well, this is being caused for various reasons. Among them, it's the motive and the inclination of the involved people. The motive. Some people have a motive. Sometimes I would come to you and then respond to you angrily in a way that I provoke you so that you can also provoke me back, you know. So sometimes others might have intentions for what they do. Others want to incite the situation, you know, to provoke the situation, to alarm the situation, to agitate so that, you know, something comes up. So the motive is also at play and the inclinations of some people. And we would also say what is causing this is bitterness. You know, when I'm bitter with you, there is a Bemba proverb. We say, if I hate you, Dahlia, no matter what you can do, I'll never be pleased. I'll never be pleased. I'll just be looking for faults in you. So that is also a cause. You know, bitterness is not good. You don't have to be bitter. You don't have to be bitter. And when you are bitter, there's nothing better that you can do that would come out of you once you are bitter. That's why in courts of law, emotions are not supposed to be there. Once an adjudicator observes emotions in a case, you might lose that case. You might, no wonder there is a legal term called demeanor, because demeanor determines the attitude of a person, the personality, the response, the behavior, the conduct of the person. We are seeing this among politicians. Sometimes you get to wonder, why are Zambians bitter? What is the problem? What is causing this bitterness in the country? Everybody you talk to is bitter. Why are people bitter in this country? Who is causing the bitterness? Why being bitter for nothing? Every situation that is happening, there is an explanation. You know, there is a reason. There's nothing that is just happening, you know, haphazardly. Everything that is happening, there is a reason, and our leaders are able to explain to us why the situation is like that. But you know, you are seeing, even when you go on Facebook, you can confirm this with me, Dahlia. You check on Facebook, you see the insults, the way people are coming out on WhatsApp groups, the way people are responding. You can really see that this person is bitter. He's bitter. So the bitterness is actually causing these things. And then the other thing is defiance and lack of regard to authorities. Defiance and lack of regard to authorities. Because if I told Daria, the way you are interviewing me here in the studio, and then I've made a resolve that I will disobey you. I'm going to disobey you. Whatever you say, I won't obey you. I don't think there is anything that can come out of our discussion, you know, because I've already made that resolve. We have a situation among the political parties where some political parties have just made up their minds and they've said ECZ is corrupt and will not obey them. How can you have peace in a situation like that? You are fighting in a ring, it's boxing or it's football, you are playing with another team, and then you have already judged the one who is officiating the match that is biased. Would you even play that football properly? I wonder. Many political parties are already decided. The elections are not yet decided. We are still in the campaign period, but people are saying the police are useless, the ECZ is useless, the president is useless. Then who is worthy for them? Who is worthy? Then why are they participating in the politics, you know, in the campaigns and whatever? So people are bitter. You can see this bitterness, and it's very, very visible, and it's very unhealthy. It's very, very unhealthy, you know, to this lack of regard and defiance. It's for that reason that we would like to applaud, as an organization, MPNVP, which is mandated to promote national unity and peace in the country. We praise Honorable Bowman Lusambo, the aspiring candidate for Chifubu, a parliamentary seat, and Honorable Tayali from the UPND. These met together and they made a consensus. You know, they agreed. They made what we are calling a political peace treaty. Then they promised each other, we will go in campaigns peacefully, no sarcasm, no fights, no conflicts, no pandemonium, no disorderliness, no confusion. We want to be at peace. We would like all politicians to do the same. Presidential candidates must do the same, councillors must do the same, so that we can be assured of peace. Actually, politicians themselves can guarantee a peaceful outcome of this particular period we are going through.
Thank you for that. Very informative pieces right there. We're going to take another break. More when we come back.
Camnet TV is here to entertain, educate and inform you. Catch Rise and Thrive at 0730 hours every Saturday. Fresh and new praise and worship comes Monday to Friday at 8 hours. Kids need to be glued to the TV every weekday at 09 hours for their favorite cartoons. Off the pitch with the boys as they talk about sport on Saturdays at 09:30 hours.
Remember, we are also here to entertain you with our different varieties of movies every weekday at 10 hours. Join Pastor Victoria and Moses Chilua with Healing Word Ministries International Church live sermon every Sunday at 10 hours.
Katamanda brings to you another journey of gospel ministers on Saturdays at 10:30 hours. The verdict comes to your screens at 17:45 hours. Join the Revival Harvest Church every Sunday at 18:30 hours.
Every Monday to Saturday, join us on the news desk at 12 hours as we bring to you the midday news, and at 19:30 hours Central African time every day for the main bulletin.
The ministry with Pastor Moses Chilua comes every Friday at 20:45 hours. On Mondays, it's your favorite national matters at 20:45 hours.
Wednesday and Thursday, Pastor Victoria and Moses Chilua are on Partnership of Greatness with different spiritual teachings at 20:45 hours.
And Frank on Camnet comes to your screen every Tuesday at 20:45 hours.
Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Hello, I'm Deborah Lukalu, all the way from South Africa. You are watching Camnet Channel, not just another channel. God bless you. Stay tuned.
Thank you for staying tuned. In case you've just joined us, we have the CEO of our movement for promoting national values and principles, that is Mr. Joseph Kunda. And now, this evening, we are discussing governance amidst political violence, COVID, and social challenges. Mr. Kunda, with reference to decentralization, how is your organization promoting broad-based participation of citizens?
We are trying to be as inclusive as we can so that many of our citizens could reach us. And what we have done is that our structures are decentralized to all the districts across the country. The district facilitators are presiding over that arrangement. And at each district, we are now going into various townships in that particular district, and recruitment of volunteers and some of the workers is being done not at the headquarters here in Lusaka. We've decided to do it within the districts to allow the local people to be part of MPNVP so that they could feel, part and partisan of the organization.
All right, so the phone lines are open in case you want to make a contribution to what we're discussing tonight. You can call the numbers on the screens. That's 0968 675 273 and 0973 167 840. You can also send your messages to 0962 965 883. Mr. Kunda, what is democracy to you?
Democracy is a situation where citizens themselves are free to choose who they want to be their leader. People have to decide freely to say, we want Dahlia to be our president. And then they should be able to say, we want Isaac to be the vice president. So if Isaac is the running mate to you, Dahlia, then people have to make the choice. And no one must impose their decision. No one must impose. They should freely make this decision. They shouldn't be compelled. No one must be compelled. And then no manipulation is needed. In any democratic nation, people must not be manipulated. What do I mean by manipulation? Manipulation is using dubious means to ascend to power, using unsubstantiated or
All right, sorry to cut you short.
mischievous
Can
means.
we take in the call?
Please.
Hello. Thank you for calling. You are through to the verdict. Your contribution or question, please.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Go ahead with your contribution, please.
Yes, please. May I know you, sir? May we know you, please? Okay.
Go ahead, please.
Right now, we are waiting that something to do. You want to wait for following beating with that. So the best thing is Uganda, certainly, is prevent us to do.
Thank you for your contribution. Mr. Kunda, the
Yes,
gentleman
please.
says he wants to disagree with you. When we talked about violence, he said there is violence, and that is because there is hunger in the country. You can't dispute that fact. Well, what's your say on that?
I would like to disagree. There is no hunger. There is no hunger in our country. Instead, there is anger. There is no hunger with H, but there is anger. And this is the point I mentioned earlier, that where is this hunger? Where is this anger coming from? The anger, the bitterness in people. This attitude of people where they are so annoyed, they are so irritated. Where is this coming from? Even when he says there is hunger, on that one I would like to disagree. Check in the dictionary, what is hunger? Hunger is a situation where there is nothing, no food. No food. Actually, hunger culminates into what we call a situation which now leads to completely lack of food, the one we had in Ethiopia, where there was completely nothing. Where there is hunger, you can't even have cockroaches in your home, because even cockroaches will have nothing to eat. The situation we have at the moment, Dahlia, let's be honest, and let's call a spade, and a spoon. The economy is not conducive, and the standard of living is a little bit high.
So
Prices of essential commodities are high, such that they are unaffordable to many of our poor Zambians.
So just
at one time we experienced hunger in our country, where we had no meal for some time. I remember I was there when we were feeding on yellow maize. I don't know if you remember that period of time. There was hunger. And it was so terrible. To have Ushima, it took us some days. We have never had any shortage of food. We have never had any shortage of meal, shortages of cooking oil. Everything is there in abundance. So somebody must not say there is anger. Even him, the caller, I don't think he's hungry. I don't think so. He is simply angry. He is not hungry. He has eaten. At least he has eaten something. But lack of appreciation has come in. And you know, politicians have created a situation where they've caused this impatience in people and dissatisfaction in people. They've caused the tension in the country by creating an impression that the situation is unbearable and it's terrible. It's not unbearable. We'll pull through. Very soon we are pulling through, and things might improve. I'm very, very optimistic.
All right, so to make your contributions, or if you need to ask any questions, please call. Oh, there's a caller coming in. Hello, you're through to the verdict. All right, we've lost that caller. Mr. Kunda, according to the Transparency Zambia in 2020, the Corruption Perception Index, CPI, of Zambia is sitting at 33 scores. And then I know we have countries like New Zealand where the CPI is sitting at 87%, which is almost no corruption at all. Zambia, apparently, and with these facts stated, is definitely doing badly. What do you say about that? What's your opinion on that? Sorry, can we take the call?
Yeah,
hello.
I think I can get now.
Hello, you're through to the verdict. Your comment or contribution?
Yes, the programs are very good. Now, on that, we can't get the point from, because where is the hunger and the hunger? Hunger is the thing. When there's the hunger, that's poverty. That's where the community. So can you clarify on those?
Thank you for your call. Mr. Kunda, I guess the question, I meant to ask you the same question as well, to say people are angry. There's obviously a reason why they're angry. You mentioned to say the economy may not be good. You mentioned to say, well you talked about poverty levels, you just touched on it. So when the economy is not good, clearly people won't have money in their pockets. When the economy is not good, clearly people will not have jobs. When the economy is not good, clearly marketeers will complain. When all these people are complaining the economy is bad, they don't have money in their pockets, definitely they are bound to complain of poverty. Poverty is broad, and of course maybe the two gentlemen that I've called would want you to clarify more. How do you separate the two? How do you say people are just angry, they are not hungry? They are angry because they are hungry. I guess that's their point.
Yeah, so I should mention that probably the earlier individual who called did not make it very clear. Probably we might not have understood his question. Yeah, because he said that there is anger in the nation. So maybe I misunderstood him. But when you say...
I thought you said hunger.
Yeah, when you say there is hunger in the nation, on that one, I think I've already responded. There is no hunger in our country because we have everything. In a country where there is hunger, Dahlia, you can't look like this. Yeah, now I've been to so many places in our country where we have plenty of food, actually. So, hunger causing angry, hunger making people angry, lack of an activity or lack of employment making people resort to violence. Is that the justification? Well, I may fail to understand because personally, I would tell you that I've never worked in my life. I've never worked for any institution. Ever since I was born, I've never worked for anybody, and it's not my wish to get employment anywhere. Instead, I've created employment. Where you are seeing me, I'm a carpenter, I'm a bricklayer, I've done construction. I can do a number of things in construction. I can do plumbing where I am. I'm a teacher at the same time. I'm a religious leader at the same time because I've studied these other things. So when somebody says because of lack of activities, I just sit at home, that's why I'm behaving like this, I may fail to understand. Because there is a lot of things that we can do to keep ourselves busy. The government will not employ all of us, but there are a lot of business opportunities.
I think we have a caller on the line.
Yeah.
You're through to the verdict. May I know your name and where you're calling us from?
My name is Benedict Mlenga from Garden Compound.
Thank you, Mr. Mlenga, for calling us. Your contribution, please.
Good evening, Mr. Mlenga.
I worked for you business.
Yes, please.
For 18 years. From that time up to now, I never received anything from FMG, from PF. Do you think that what am I managing this time? This time I am suffering a lot. I was children who want to go to school, but they go to school. Just throw those people who are there for they never receive money. Just throw money about it. Where are they? But you, the way I am looking for you, you are very fit. Because you are eating nicely. Everything is good. But me, I'm not eating a basco. I don't have to eat a new bar. I'm just somebody like that. When is the PF is going to give you our money?
Thank you for your call, Mr. Mlenga. Thank you for your contribution, Mr. Kunda. Mr. Mlenga says you look very nice. You look very healthy. When is he receiving his money?
I have a lot of peace of mind. If I tell you what I go through after this show, sit down with me for 30 minutes or 1 hour, I tell you what I go through, you can't believe it. I've gone through worse situations than Mr. Mlenga.
You just highlighted there's no hunger.
There's
no hunger. There's no poverty. So he won't understand this response.
I have a lot of peace of mind. What I've observed, Dahlia, from his response, he has accumulation of anger. Mr. Mlenga has harbored resentment. He is bitter. He has a lot of things that have accumulated. And unfortunately, they have all ended up on the PF government. Yeah, he's very clear and very concise in his explanation. He says, from UBZ, 18 years he worked. How I wish he could have found a better platform to use, because I may not be in a good position to respond as to why he has not been paid for 18 years. There are other institutions where he needs to report. And how I wish he may get my contact, then I would direct him to the right institution. So he can meet me at my office or anywhere, then we hear from him. Probably I may advise on how best, which institutions can he complain to. Because from his explanation, MMD is a culprit. This problem has accumulated for some time. He was not paid by MMD, and now it has come into PF as well.
Sorry to cut you short.
You may find the problem.
We may have to take in one more caller. Thank you for calling. You are through to the verdict. Your name and where you're calling us from, please.
Hello, I'm Mr. Chanda.
Mr. Chanda, may I know where you're calling us from?
I'm calling from Chingola.
From Chingola.
Yes.
Your contribution, please.
My contribution, I would like to speak to my brother, Mr. Kunda.
You can go ahead.
I'm okay, Wachanda. How are you?
I'm fine. My brother.
Please. Mukwai? Iyo mkwai efe tulela nshanya Wachanda. We are discussing efe tulela nshanya ma politics kachipi mfiafye kafe tulela nshanya. It's just a small component. Hello, I'm not a politician. I'm a civil society leader. I'm a civil society leader. I'm not a politician, sir. And no, I'm not, but politics is part of the component of things that I explain. I explain, and that's my job.
Thank you, Mr. Chanda. Was that the only question you had? Do you have any other question? Sorry? Sorry, I can't.
Yes, please. We are discussing governance matters. We are not discussing a religion. I'm sorry, sir. I'm not here to explain about my religion.
Thank you for your call, Mr. Chanda.
Yeah.
Is it still on? All right, so Mr. Kunda, earlier on I was asking to say, according to Transparency Zambia in 2020, the CPI of Zambia sits at 33 scores. And I was saying I know countries like New Zealand whose scores are sitting at 87%. And I was saying that's close to no corruption at all. What is going on in Zambia? What's your view on that? What's your say on that?
I should confess to you that the new government that will be formed after August 12, regardless of whichever political party will form government after August 12, I have a strong feeling that stringent measures and actions and strict actions, serious embankments have to be taken to ensure that corruption is actually overcome. It's a big scourge in our country, I should admit. And if it will be President Edgar Chagwalungu who will form a new government, I'm sure he needs to put up serious measures to fight this corruption pandemic. There has been a lot of complacency that I should mention. There has been a lot of naivety in the more aggression is needed. I think a lot has to be done to ensure that institutions like Anti-Corruption Commission, Drug Enforcement Commission, and the police themselves, including the judiciary, must really be ready to handle matters of corruption. We haven't really handled matters of corruption with the seriousness that they deserve.
So talking of the police, lately they've been accused of applying the Public Order Act selectively. Do you think the government is promoting the rule of law?
I would think so. Rule of law is there. Of course, we regret for some unforeseen occurrences and sad instances that rocked our nation a few months ago when we lost the two individuals at the police headquarters, Mr. Nsamansama. Memories are still very fresh, and Kaunda as well. We shouldn't have experienced that. It's really regrettable for such situations. And you saw the reaction of the President, His Excellency, to the extent of making adjustments in the police hierarchy so that the situation could be arrested and ensure that the police up to date in handling matters. But I should mention to you, Dahlia, that the police are not as bad as we paint them. They are not as bad as we paint them. Let me just cite this situation. Sometimes we have looked at the police to be people who are uneducated, who don't know what they do, and who are so vindictive, and sometimes who simply prosecute and arrest when there is no basis of doing so. But what we see is not the reality of the situation. The police are learned. You know, Zambia is a subscriber and a signatory to international human rights declaration, and we have vowed to respect the human rights. So the police actually they have a critical role to play in ensuring that the human rights are respected and upheld, because every person deserves to be respected for his particular rights. But I should mention to you, Dahlia, that the human rights that we advocate for are not to be understood in an absolute sense, but relatively. You try to understand me on that particular point, Dahlia. If at all we could be given freedom ourselves to do anything that we want, there could be total chaos in the country. We need to be regulated. Even in our own homes, we are supposed to be regulated. There's supposed to be instructions, guidelines on how to live. So the police are there to enforce the law, to prosecute offenses. But at the same time, they have to do this with a lot of accountability and caution, because at the end of the day, they will render an account for abuse of any human rights. So otherwise, it's not necessarily that the police are that bad. They really try to, let me give an example of how trained the police sometimes are, although this is something that we overlook. The Deputy Inspector General of Police, Madam Charity Katanga, recently graduated once more and obtained masters of degrees in law. From the time she was admitted to the bar, Madam Charity Katanga is an expert in constitutional matters, and actually she can qualify to be a High Court judge. She can even qualify to be a Supreme Court judge. Those are the qualifications that she has. I have a friend of mine who is the officer in charge at Woodlands Police Station. He's a lawyer. He's been admitted to the bar for many years, and he worked in the Foreign Service for many years, and then he came back. So now he's the officer in charge at Woodlands Police. This is a person who is able to interpret law and the Constitution. But you know, merely when we look at police officers, we simply perceive and look at them as uneducated people who have not been to school. Can you imagine that all prosecutors who are handling cases before courts are police officers? But a number of them now are receiving training and they are law experts. They are becoming lawyers because they must be equal to the adjudicators so that they are able to explain. So, you know, these are not just people from the street or from the farm. They are acquainted, and from time to time, the police are attending seminars and schools, and our organization is actually constituted for that particular reason, because we are to engage the police on how to promote human rights. It is for that reason, recently when Mr. Mubita Nawa was arrested, little did he know that our organization sent some members to go to police headquarters. We had to speak to the IG on his behalf and plead for him so that he could be released unconditionally. Not that he never committed any offense. You know, many a times when the police have prosecuted a case, then when it goes before authorities, the Director of Public Prosecution decides to come in and advise that release Dahlia, it's fine. For the sake of peace in the country, let this matter not proceed before court. For the sake of peace. So it's not necessarily, sometimes the names that we call the police, they are corrupt, they are thieves, they don't know anything. Yes, there's been incidences where the police have abused their powers. In some cases, we have some police who have mistreated others, and when such cases are found, they must be reported. They must be reported. That's why we have the Police Service Commission. We also have the Police Complaints Commission, which are responsible to address such matters. When you are abused by the police, you are abused by anybody. That's why Human Rights is there, MPNVP is there, the Police Complaints Commission is there. We even have the Judicial Complaints Commission. You can go and file in a complaint and give reasons as to what happened, you know. So we are not trying to shield the police, you know, from the accusation. But I can candidly tell you that if the police were to be loose and just allow anybody who wants to protest, anybody who wants to go to street, to do anything that he wants, then the relevance of the police would be questioned in the country, because they are there to enforce the law, but they have to do it within their confinements, within the confinements of the law, and they are not supposed to abuse their powers. For example, the police are not supposed to browbeat someone, you know, infringe pains on someone to make him confess. And then there are times, Dahlia, when the police can detain someone. They can detain someone. When they detain someone in detention, it's for a reason. Let me give an example. The police can detain somebody who is accused of defilement. Then they will keep him in police cells. Well, sometimes there could be a basis for that person to be given bail or police bond. The police might say, no, just keep him in police cells. Keep him in police cells. The reason for being kept in detention, people don't understand. Sometimes we feel they are just brutally mistreating this particular person. But they are also safeguarding that person. Because in the event that you release a person who stood accused of defilement, you release him, what would happen? What would happen in the community? Won't they pounce on him?
Tell us. I'm waiting to hear
what happened to about 50 lives of people who were suspected of gassing? What happened to them? Did they stand before court? Were they found guilty?
I'm waiting for you to tell us.
No. It was instant justice. There was someone who was a permanent secretary, I remember. The Inspector General of Police recorded a conversation with him and he played it at one time. He was killed in Western Province. And before he died, before they finally stoned him to death, as if it was a drama, but it's a reality, we lost him. He called the IG and he was crying on phone. These people are about to kill me, IG. I'm very innocent. Then they said, no, we are killing you. And they killed him. And when they kill him, who do you blame? This time of campaigns, we are seeing this matter now coming up, Dahlia, where politicians are saying, the PF are responsible of the 50 lives that were lost. Was it the PF who are responsible of that person who was killed in the Western Province, a former PS, whose IG was saying, please spare an innocent person? So you see such a situation, Dahlia. So it's not always that certain blames that we put on the police are to be blamed on them, not necessarily. But some of these are political hallucinations and tantrums that comes from unsuspecting individuals for political mileage.
All right, and as we close up, just a general question. Do you think Zambians are enjoying the rights and freedoms that come with democracy? Zambia, of course, is a democratic nation.
Exactly, they are actually extremely. We have a situation in our country where some people have even refused to accept the president, and we have some opposition leaders in Zambia who have never called the president Your Excellency President Lungu. They call him Mr. Lungu. We have them. Just recently, there is a program conducted by a certain lawyer who is based in Canada. He's been conducting that online TV show where there was a former army general from Zambia who said, Mr. Lungu, I won't call him President Lungu. There is no way he could fail to handle a funeral of President Kaunda properly. Me, I won't address him as President Lungu. I'll call him Mr. Lungu. And nothing could be done about him. Even if he comes here, nothing could be done about him. There has never been a time in Zambia when the president has been insulted the way we have seen it in this particular era. Some of them have been convicted and they are serving sentences. There was someone from Kitwe who just came online and started calling the president by insults. President Lungu, you are this, you are this, you are this. So I would say freedom is there, except we need to do more so that our people are free to exercise their rights. But freedom of expression is there.
All right, sorry, I wish we could have enough time. Clearly there's a lot to talk about. Thank you for coming to the show, Mr. Kunda.
Thank you so much, Dahlia. Thank you.
Thank you. This was The Verdict, and we had Mr. Joseph Kunda, the CEO of Movement for Promoting National Values and Principles. You can catch us again on Thursday and Fridays. Remember, it's every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Fridays. That's for The Verdict. Stay tuned and wait for us. Chill, have a cup of tea, or you can eat your dinner in advance if you want, because definitely 1930 you have to watch the Camnet main news. That's 1930 to 2030, and at 23 hours, again, you're going to have an hour of the Camnet main news. Thank you for joining us.